Hey, and welcome to the third and final recap of my Tata Steel Chess Challengers adventure. And I wanted to make this recap a bit earlier. I plan to do recaps every rest day, but as you might have noticed or read, um, I was one of the many players in the tournament that got hit by the flu, and well, therefore I just decided not to do any recap on the rest day, but use the rest day what it's made for, just to rest a little bit. And I wanted to do the recap after the tournament finished, which is almost a week ago now. But pretty soon after, I lost my voice, and it kind of makes it hard to do a proper recap without voice. So here we are. Many of you might have already forgot about the whole tournament, but I still wanted to show my final 5 games in this recap. Um, And after that, I will just quickly walk you through how I experienced the tournament and um, my expectations beforehand and how it all turned out. But let's just first have a look at the games. So we are at round number 9, and this was a good round because I scored my first win. I was playing black against Lucas van Foreest, one of our talented Dutch players, and since I want to talk about 5 games, and I'm not going to keep it. Well, I'm trying to going to keep it short in most of the games. So I was playing black, Lucas playing white, and we went to the French defense, and he went knight c3, which is not something he does often, and especially e5. I don't think he's ever played this before. So we go into the Steinitz territory, and he went for a sideline with knight e2, which is okay. It's interesting. He's just going to build a wall of pawns here basically, and it's making it hard for me to weaken that in any way. But I need to try. So I went queen b6, queen c1, bishop e7, c3. So this is all theory, and I went for a5 here, trying to get something going here. He's playing on the king side. I'm going to play on the queen side. And decided to take on d4, put my knight to c4, and I was actually liking my position here. I went back with the queen to b6, and suddenly I got pressure on these 2 pawns. Got a beautiful knight on c4, and his attack is. I thought it was a little bit slow. So he went rook b1, and I decided just to repeat moves once. He told me after the game that I had to be careful about this move because he was playing some sacrifices, but I figured I'll just let him figure that out and don't waste any time on this. I went for this repetition once, and he decided he wanted to play. I'm not sure if I would have gone for the repetition if he offered it to me, but okay, that just didn't happen. So okay, Angel says I can take on b2, which is well, it's a possibility, but it felt a bit wrong to just take that pawn off the board. It felt a bit slow. I mean, with him attacking on the king side, this is quite a waste of time. So I decided not to consider this move seriously for a long while. So I just went for f6, going for just a normal play, and I was just hoping to keep pressure on these pawns and tie all his pieces down, because these pieces are pretty much stuck defending pawns, and I thought that was a good thing, because if his attack isn't working, I think my position is better anyway. But he went g5, and here I played bishop e7 a little bit careless. I maybe should have or could have gone to d8, which allows for knight e7, and that is quite a useful move to have. But I underestimated his play, and I clearly missed his next moves, because I went bishop e7, he went g6, and well, I can take that pawn, but this is just becoming weak, and I'm losing all these dark squares, and I think that's quite dangerous. So I didn't think too long. I played h6, and here just went knight g5, and I just didn't see this one coming. If I take, he can just well, eventually he will go knight g3, queen h5, and checkmate. And there's just not much I can do about it. So I decided not to take and go rook f6. Just protect e6, attack g6. Now he went knight h7, and here I decided I just want to sacrifice the exchange, because if I take on g6, I think he played something like queen d3, and if I take here, just rook g1, and I'm dropping my rook again, which is not good. So I decided I will just go rook f5, and this position is quite interesting because he has this knight on h7. I'm not sure if it's like good or nothing or bad, or I don't even know what color to give the knight. I think as long as the knight is there and it can't do anything, it's a bad knight. But if he gets the chance to just jump back to g5 with the same checkmating tricks all over again, then I'm not so sure about my position. And I think maybe he should have gone knight g5 here. He didn't play it, but maybe he should have. So he went rook g1 instead, and here I got some time to regroup my pieces. And here once again you can see the point of having the bishop on d8, because then I could have played the move knight e7, going for this pawn and then also going for this knight. So my bishop is blocking things a little bit now. So I went bishop d7, rook g3, and apparently I could have played bishop h4 here, which is a move I looked at, but I wasn't even sure why I would play this move. But I guess the point is that the rook goes somewhere, and I just go to d8, and if he goes back, I got my bishop here, and I can put my knight on e7. So, but it's all very complicated here, and I never really had a clue about the evaluation of the position. I was just playing and, well, trying to make good moves, and I went knight d8, making sure I can always like bring my knight here if things get tricky, and I don't know. It was a bit messy, this part of the game, because I wasn't sure what my plan was. And after knight g1, I realized that he's bringing his knight to e5, and that's just bad news. Especially since I just pulled back my knight from c6, so I'm no longer pressuring this pawn on d4. So, okay, I went queen e6. Here my blitz instinct kicked in a little bit, and I just stopped thinking too deeply about moves and just play an intuition. And it actually went quite well. I took an e5, and I played f4, which is useful to get my pieces out, because now I have queen f5. And still his knight is here, so as long as I win this pawn, I'm doing great. Queen g4, I give check, and we both missed things here in this position. And he missed this move, which is, it's a very important move to see, because now g6 becomes unprotectable, and once I win g6, I win the knight, and also this pin on this rook, it's terrible for white. So he only has one move, which is knight f6. And during the game, I wasn't sure if gf6 was good enough for me. If you look with the engine, you would say it's the only move, but I was also checking whether this is like giving me any drawing chances, like bishop e5, take takes, rook g6. But I didn't really believe in it, because these pawns felt a bit loose, and I thought his rook and bishop are strong enough if he gets his rook like to c7, I don't know, e7, whatever. Anyway, I was calculating this a little bit, but then I decided to go with gf6, and I must admit that I made a terrible miscalculation here. Just a terrible miscalculation, because I calculated queen h4, and my first idea was to take on e5, queen e7, take on f4, and I thought, well, why does no checks? If he takes here, I take on g6, and this should be absolutely fine for me, maybe even winning. However, he does have a check, queen h7 check. I just missed this one, and well, checkmate, or even queen promotion with check is coming soon. So that was a bit sloppy by me. Anyway, I still have bishop g6, and if you got rook e1, I got fe5, and somehow it all works for black. It's super messy, but it's working for black, and it's a bit too complicated to show everything here. So if you're interested, go have a look with your own engine. Or without engine even. The lines are fun and entertaining. Anyway, he saw what was wrong with this line, and he went for bishop takes h6, and then we got into this endgame, and well, this I think is winning for me. I just need to get my knight to e6. That's all basically. So because knight on e6 is superb, it's attacking this pawn, attacking the bishop, controlling g7. I mean, what else do I need? So I played rook c6, h3, and I played bishop f8, controlling the g7 square, so I can pull back my bishop and then play knight e6 without allowing any rook checks. And that's what happened. I took an h6, and now I'm just eating pawns, and My 2 pieces against the rook are too strong, especially because I have 2 passed pawns as well. This part of the game he played on a bit longer, but it's totally winning for black. I can just easily pick up both his pawns and then just push my own pawns. And he resigned here. So really happy with the game because it was very interesting. Most interesting part was probably when he put his knight on h7, which was so hard to determine whether it's good or bad for white. But also, yeah, getting my first win in was amazing. So that was this game, and after that I was playing white against Benjamin Gledura, and this was quite a decent game. He surprised me a bit with the time enough, and he went for this bishop d6 line. I took on c6, and I actually got quite a pleasant position very soon. I think this is all still theory. My only improvement could have been g4, where he doesn't really have time to play the move h6, which is what he got to play in the game, and that's, well, it strengthens his pawn structure and makes it hard for me to create anything on the h file. Because now if he goes h6, I obviously have g5. But I went for bishop d3, went h6, g4, rook g8, and now I never have g5 anymore because the pin is gone and I have no pressure on the h file. So this will cost me some initiative here. So I decided to just centralize my pieces. Play c4, just put pressure on the center, and b3, but I had no plan here. And we're both like playing some waiting moves because he also had no plan. And he went for rook b4, which is sometimes interesting because maybe you can sacrifice and then like bring the knight to c5. But I thought the rook was pretty offside on b4, so I decided to open up the center here. Knight takes bishop c4, and okay, there are some tactics here that all seem to work in my favor. One of them is if he goes knight b6, I got a3, for example, trapping the rook. No, that's not correct here. I'm mixing up lines. Yeah, okay, clearly mixing up lines here. Forget about that. Anyway, he went for knight f4, and here I got rook e5. I had to be a bit careful because if I take on d8 first, king d8, rook e5, then he has rook c4 and knight d3. So there were some tactics I had to keep an eye on. But I decided I could just go rook e5 immediately, and I thought this endgame would be pretty okay for me. But it didn't. Well, it just wasn't as good as I hoped. I thought I have pawns on both sides and the bishop, but it's 4 against 2 on the king side. It's just what is good enough for him to at least exchange all the pawns. So I even tried to lose this endgame, which is it's not so easy. But okay, in the end, it's all pretty forcing, and I couldn't really find anything, and also he couldn't. So we decided it was probably just a pretty good game, and it was all within drawing margins. So okay, that was well, it was a solid draw. I mean, these 2 rounds were played between 2 rest days, and 1.5 point out of those. So that was pretty confident, I must say. So on to the next round, round 11, playing against the lady from Kazakhstan, Dinara Saduakassova, who was actually awarded with the Fair Play Award after the tournament. She played white, I was playing black, and she also surprised me a bit. C takes d5, which is not supposed to be anything special, because queen c2, g6, and sometimes in these lines you have a lot of problems getting your bishop here because white goes e3, bishop d3. But now, because she hasn't played e3 yet, I can just go g6, bishop f5, and I shouldn't be in any trouble. She went bishop g5. Here I went bishop g7, which is, it looks very normal, but my bishop is not so good in g7. I just need to play bishop e7, I guess, because it also needs to keep an eye on b4, where she will most likely start her minority attack, as we will see later in the game. So bishop g7, e3, bishop f5, and yeah, I just exchanged my terrible bishop, and I thought, well, this should be totally fine from you, but here goes b4, and now I notice my bishop is very awkward on g7 because it looks nice, but it's not doing anything useful because all the play is happening on the queen side. So I went rook e8, b5, h6, and bringing my knight to c4 hopefully, and I played rook c8 here, trying to push c5. I mean, if I get my weak c6 pawn exchange, or either maybe to c4, I should be doing fine. Sure, I have an isolated pawn, but if I open up the position, as happened in the game, my bishop on f6 comes to life, and I can't really be any worse. That's what I thought. I decided to take the knight. I wanted to like play rook c8 or rook c4 even, but somehow knight a5 and knight b5 bothered me a little bit because the knights are becoming active. And once again, the question is, what is my bishop doing? It has a nice diagonal, but there's nothing happening on this diagonal, so I was slightly concerned about my bishop, so I decided to just exchange everything on c3. And I thought that this should be equal, and I even got active, and I think I off the draw around here because it just seems very, very equal, but she wanted to play, and I was fine with that, but I didn't really have a plan, and I thought neither did she. So I was just activating my pieces a little bit, moving up and down, but okay, she did become active, and I thought if I just exchange queens, it should be fine, and that's what I did. But the endgame somehow bothered me because she played really well. She put a knight on f4, which is a very nice square because it's attacking this pawn. Rook is doing a good job because it's protecting both h2 and f2, and I have no real targets, and my knight is stuck defending the pawn on d5, and so is my rook. And that is not a problem by itself because it's just one weakness, but I allowed her to create a second weakness by going h4 and h5. And now the thing is, well, this position is maybe more relevant. Here I was not sure what to do because let's say I go rook c5. Yeah, I just do nothing. She goes h5. I go, well, this is the point already. What do I do here? If I go g5, she is gonna somehow bring her knight to f5, and then h6 is becoming a terrible weakness because it's hard to defend. I can bring my king over here, but my king is an active piece in the endgame. Well, it should be an active piece in the endgame. And if it's stuck defending this pawn, that's very bad news. So I didn't really want to go h5, g5, but if I go h5, gh5, well, the same problem kind of arises because she can still take with the pawn, but I think taking with the knight is also good. And now I have, well, 3 loose pawns. I'm not saying they're weak, but well, surely you prefer the white structure over the black pawn structure. So I was not feeling comfortable here at all, and I decided to go for rook a3, which has some ideas of going d4, trying to exchange one of my weaker pawns. Because if rook takes d4, I can snag this guy, and things are balancing a bit better. She went h5, and here king f6, rook c2, she goes for the initiative. And I think I played really well this part. I actually surprised myself a little bit because the moves I played here, it took me so much time to figure those out. I took an h5, I went king e5, and I went d4. And it seems to work. I seem to be active enough. She went f4, I went king e4, took on d4. Now knight d5 I think is a very useful move for me. My apologies, my throat still isn't fully recovered. Knight d5 is good because it activates my knight, and the white king is in some trouble maybe. So knight g3 and also king f3, not grabbing this pawn, now not grabbing this pawn. The reason is I want my knight to go to f4, not my king. So knight f5, knight takes f4. Knight takes h6, f6, and here the white king is stuck by it. I don't really have a threat, so she went knight g8. I can give check and go back, but that's basically it. There's not much I can do here. I was looking at knight g2 and knight e3 to, well, keep the game going, but I noticed after I win this pawn, this d pawn is running fairly quickly, and I didn't really see why I would even allow all this. So after repeating like 3 more times, she didn't claim the draw. So I got 60 moves and 15 more minutes to think, and well, I couldn't find anything else, so I just went for knight g6 again, and we agreed to a draw. It sounded as quite a boring game, but the end game just exploded, and I think it's very interesting. I need to analyze it deeper to well to figure out what's really going on, and if what I played was really necessary and good. But yeah, the end game was highly interesting, and it also shows why. Okay, I gotta admit, I offered the draw during the game, but it shows why you shouldn't offer draws in those seemingly boring positions, because I wouldn't want to miss this endgame because this is so educational and good to play these kind of endgames. So yeah, a shame on me for offering to draw there, and good thing she decided to keep on playing. But it did end in a draw anyway. But okay, that happens. So round 12, playing the legendary Evgeny Bareev, and he went for the Caro-Kann with black. I was playing white, and I'm playing this line for quite a while now, and I quite like it for white. F3, g6, intending to go bishop f5, trying to exchange these bishops. That's similar to my previous game against Saduakassova. I went queen c2, and now it's just it's a very slow position, and I'm just trying to activate my pieces as much as I can. So trying to get my bishop to f4, which works. But black also gets the bishop to f5, and I don't want to exchange those, so I went back to f1. And this maneuvering game is very interesting, and I haven't really had time to analyze it. I did analyze with him after the game, which was simply great. He has so much knowledge and feeling for the position; it's just incredible. Um, so this maneuvering was also looks boring, but I think it's very interesting and very complicated. So I went to cripple. Well, cripple is a big word, but I want to damage his pawn structure a little bit. And here I was quite happy with how I was playing. I played knight h4, planning to go queen h5, rook g8 and g4. This was the plan all along. But I hesitated and I thought, well, what after bishop f6? It didn't feel comfortable. It felt like I was rushing my position a bit too much here. So I decided not to go for it, but if you check with the engine, it will say that this would have been the best continuation. Instead I went for king h1 and trying to prepare this g4 thing, but it takes so much time, and compared to my original plan, it always looked slightly worse, and that made it psychologically very difficult to actually execute this whole plan. So I was just improving my pieces a little bit, but I didn't really have a plan, and well, black equalized pretty easily here, and that's where I just went completely wrong. I got stuck without a plan, and I was very annoyed by the fact that I couldn't go rook g2 all the time because of queen takes, and rook h6, and checkmate. It's a cute checkmate, but not if you're on the white side. So here I panicked a bit. I should have just played a normal move like rook e2, but I went knight e5, which is just bad because it's a beautiful square, and now I have to recapture with a pawn, and I lose this square. And I even took with the d pawn, and that's also quite bad. He said that I should take with the e pawn because he can get his bishop here, but his diagonal is worth nothing for him. I take with the d pawn, this diagonal is worth something for him, and he can put pressure here. Here I went h4, and I thought I calculated well, so I played rook f1, and it's so silly because he took an h4, and I'm like, what did I miss? And I simply missed that after queen h3, I thought with my rook on e1 gone and protecting this pawn, I'm fine, but I simply missed he can just take on h3, take on g1. Insane blunder. I obviously saw bishop h4 coming, but just a terrible blunder. But also, I just blundered the game in 2 moves. Like knight e5 was terrible, and d5 was also bad, and h4 was bad, and bishop h4 is just winning. It was a pretty decent game, but this one hurt a little bit because, yeah, didn't really need to lose this one. But then again, he was simply better. So funny thing was after the game we signed our score sheets, and the arbiter came back and he said, "Mr. Bareev, I think this is a mistake." And he looked at the score sheet and he actually wrote down a draw. And he said, "Oh, stupid! Well, it should have been a draw anyway." But yeah, okay. And he also apologized after the game for winning, which is obviously not necessary. But I think it kind of shows that he didn't see a win coming during the entire game. So it hurt a bit, but okay. Most of the game was good, so it's also worth something here. All right, then to the final game, round 13, playing against the later winner, Mr. Kovalev from Belarus. And this game, well, hasn't gone unnoticed because I got crushed big time. We went to the Targe defense in the French, and we got a lot of theory on the board. This is all known stuff. Rook d8, I think, is a novelty, but I mean, we're still both in our preparation here, and at some point I just forgot about the preparation, which wasn't that weird. But I went wrong pretty quickly, and the thing is, this game has been shown and analyzed by other people as well, and it looks like I made a very childish mistake by allowing bishop h7, which is what happened here, and rook c8, bishop c6, and suddenly all the tactics work, not surprisingly. The thing is that after f6, check, king g8, check, the e6 pawn is unprotected. I gotta go rook f7, and I just dropped my rook on c8, which is a combination of going rook c8 and bishop c6. It's a terrible combination. The thing is, I was very concerned about several endgames that could arise, and just to show that things aren't that easy, is bishop c6 is a terrible blunder as well, because rook b4 and the queen simply has no squares. And there are many endgames. Okay, let's say I play rook e8. There are endgames after like queen c7 that are just not comfortable. When the queens get off the board, his rooks are active, and same goes for I can't remember the exact line, but there are some moves that make it hard for me to, yeah, like bishop c8 and going for bishop c7 is also a plan. But I think he can go bishop e4, bishop b7, and maybe this queen c7 again. And there's just a few lines where his queen gets here, and I'm concerned about the queen exchange and his rooks becoming very active. And because the white is already quite active, it's very hard to navigate through those lines and try to find the best one. People also said, why didn't you just play bishop e8, which is another move the engine suggests. It's just kind of hard, and playing like this just isn't easy. It's so passive, and I didn't quite like it. Which are no excuses, because I simply shouldn't play bishop c6, because these tactics I should just see. But well, I guess it was a long tournament, and yeah, I just got outplayed in this one. Couldn't find my way in this position. I couldn't find the right move, so yeah, deserved victory for him, of course, and well, painful end to my tournament. So that leads to the standings, and as you can see, Kovalev convincingly won the tournament, and he will play the Masters next year. I finished last, 3 points only, but I am very happy that I at least scored a win, which I think is nice to have. Maybe I could have played a few more draws, but it simply wasn't my approach to the whole tournament. I just wanted to. I wanted to play. I wanted to fight with these guys, and yeah, it was just about learning and fighting basically. And yeah, a few draws happened, but I actually quite liked the fighting losses more than the boring draws, to be honest. So But okay, I also wasn't in top shape during the tournament. It wasn't my best event, and that's also a bit of a shame. But so yeah, performance-wise, no, I can't really be happy. But I enjoyed this tournament so much. It's been amazing, and yeah, I don't think I will ever get to play in the challengers again. But who knows? Maybe I do qualify somehow, or you never know what happens. But I did play this like it was my I played a bit like Kramnik style, like it was my last time playing in this event, and well, that doesn't get you too far point wise, it seems. But hey, it was fun, and I hope I could have shared my joy a little bit with you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this recap, even though it was a bit late. But if you have any questions, anything you want to know, ask, tell me, whatever, just feel free to drop a comment below the video, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I thank you guys for watching.